Well, hi everyone. George here, Catholic Positive Energy. Nice to see everybody. Hope you like my bright green shirt. Wanted to, make things different today. Now, the title of this broadcast is Understanding the Mind of a Negative Person. I spend a lot of times, 99% of the time, talking about how we should be thinking, feeling, and acting as positive people. But today I want to talk in great detail about how negative people think. Now, this is something that I know a lot about because for most of my life I was a very negative person and I didn't realize it. I was surrounded by a lot of negative energy throughout my life growing up. And I've talked about this in previous videos. I won't get into that today. Now, every single one of us, we know people who are very negative to be around. Whether they be friends, family, especially coworkers, or even, some people who we just have to deal with, like classmates, peers, casual acquaintances who we often see, and they never really seem to have anything nice to say. They never have anything positive to say. Being around them is difficult. Being around them just drags us down, doesn't brighten our day. We don't want to be friends with these people or spend a lot of time hanging around these people. So those are the people I want to talk about. Now, I don't mean any disrespect by saying this. I'm just trying to describe who I'm talking about. I'm not trying to say that negative people are bad people. That's not what I'm saying. But this is a positive community, and I want to obviously encourage positive, joyful people here. So I'll talk about these negative people who are in a bad place. I talked about this in a previous video, being in a good place. Now I'm going to talk about the bad. Now, there are a lot of people out there in the world, myself included, who, let's say they grew up in an environment where they were constantly being yelled at, or they were always around family or whoever who would always want to find fault with everything they do, criticize everything they do, tell them everything they do is wrong, never point out their good qualities or praise them or dignify them, and always be in the presence of negative energy, whether that be shouting, domestic violence, or some kind of neglect. Now, for a child to grow up in this kind of an environment is very devastating. Very overwhelming. Somebody who grows up in this kind of an environment normally doesn't become somebody like Mr. Rogers when they become an adult. Hopefully they do, and they will learn from other people in their lives, but normally, and I'm speaking to the people who have children, please do not yell at your children. Try not to do it as much. There are times when you may need to yell at your children, but please don't do that as much as possible. Please don't do that. Because yelling at your children, and I posted this article in the group a while back, I'll try to repost it again and again. Psychologists have shown that constantly yelling at your children, basically if they're on the receiving end of, this finger, and they can get PTSD when they're older. And that is something that they will have to live with for the rest of their lives. Because mom and dad or whoever raised them was yelling at their children, they're going to feel like every time they interact with people, even as an adult, they're going to feel like they're about to be yelled at. They will be afraid, basically, for the rest of their lives. And it's because of something in their brain that mom and dad caused that they have to live with forever. Now, for people who grew up in that kind of an environment, who never really receive enough love, care, and support, or dignification and praise, those are the people who are normally in a bad place, just because they were yelled at, or even spanked a lot, hit a lot, or who just didn't receive as much care, love, and support from their families. There are people who spend the rest of their lives living in this bad place and they don't even realize it. You see, they're not always happy. I mean, most people are normally happy when they eat good food, or they're at a sporting event, or they're watching their favorite TV show, or something on an app on their phone or iPad or tablet, whatever it is you use. People normally are happy when they're watching those types of things. And that's good, but that's not the kind of happiness that I'm shooting for here. When I talk about happiness and positive energy in all of my broadcasts, I'm not referring to just something that's only going to last for half a day or for a half hour in a day. Just because you were watching your favorite show on your phone or your iPad, or you were at a sporting game for a few hours in the day, okay, those things are fun. And I really hope that you do have things in your life like that you can engage in. But is that happiness going to last forever? When that sporting event is over, are you still going to be happy the next day or in 2 days because of that? Probably not, because you see, now it's over. Now it's in the past. That fun you had at that spectacular event, it's in the past now. Now you're back at work or whatever it is that you're dealing with, and you're with all these negative people again. And you obviously can't watch all these fun things on your phone or your iPad all day at your job or whatever. So, you see, that's not a happiness that lasts forever. When I say happiness, and I'm going to have more broadcasts on this topic, I'm talking about happiness that lasts forever. It's a mindset, a state of mind. You're always positive. You're always happy. More happy than unhappy. Even if something terrible happens to you in the day, even if you meet a very rude person who says some nasty things to you that you feel that you didn't deserve, you still need to maintain this positive energy and positive thought, regardless of these things you may face. I'm trying to keep you ready. Or even if you meet some coworker or some casual acquaintance who you have to deal with, who's not your friend and they're not your friend, you just have a professional relationship with one another. Let's say they say something or they do something that you really didn't like, or they didn't do something that you feel they should have done that would have made you happy, but they didn't do it. I hope I didn't lose you there. I wasn't trying to on purpose. I was really talking, but it was kind of funny. Now, when we often have these jobs and we have to deal with certain people who just drag us down, these are the people who are in a bad place. More than likely, these are people who hate their jobs, hate their lives, are not happy with where they're at right now in life, or they grew up with family who treated them badly, as I said earlier. These are the people who are in a bad place. So, once again, people who are in a bad place, who are not like, positive people like I try to be. They grew up in a bad family. They were treated badly. They didn't receive enough love. They weren't praised or dignified for the good things they did or the good things that they tried to do to impress mom and dad or whoever else in their life. They didn't receive any of that. Also, another reason why these people are in a bad place, they hate their job. They hate their life. They don't like where they work. But they can't quit their job, so they have to deal with it. It's another reason they're in a bad place. And also, maybe number 3, well, this kind of touches a little bit on 1 and 2. It's possible that they have depression. I actually I have a very close friend who had depression at a very young age. And you know why? This person they felt like their parents were treating their sibling as the favorite over them. They yelled at them a lot. And they were pretty hard on them and, didn't praise and dignify them enough for the good things that they tried to do. They felt like their sibling was treated as the favorite. So they had depression at a very, very young age. And it just broke them. All mom and dad had to do was just praise and dignify their child and not yell at them as much. And then things would have been so much better. So, like I say, And here's an important question I want to ask. This refers to number 2. Is there anybody out there who really likes their job? Like you have that dream job and you're really happy? You love what you do. You're happy when you get up in the morning. You're happy when you're at your job. You're happy when you go to bed at night because you feel accomplished and you feel blessed. I don't know very many people who feel that way. I don't have my dream job yet, but I will tell you, and I'm speaking from the heart, and I'm being 100% honest. I'm not acting here. I may not have my dream job, but I'm getting there. I'm in graduate school. Well, I'm on break for now, but I will finish. I am pursuing my dream job, and I love my life. I'm very happy. I love having this community with all of you. I love this Chinese waterfall. And also, here's one thing I just want to mention because, I don't want you to think I'm talking in a professional manner. I mean, I do want to share some aspects of my life with you. I just got a cat. She's in the room. But maybe one day I'll show my cat in the broadcast. Her name is Maggie. She's very cute. So, yeah, one day, maybe I'll start the broadcast with Maggie in front of the camera and then I'll be off camera. I don't know, she might run away. Anyways. Yeah, and also, thanks to wonderful people like my dear friend, author Holly, I have a positive personality that will never go away. This positive energy is here to stay. Yeah, I'm sure if there was an audience right here where I'm at right now, they'd be clapping. Anyways, so for those of you who, and I see this all the time, especially at somebody's job, for those of you who work with someone who is a very unhappy person, who is just not fun to be around, who has nothing but negative things to say, who always has a very unhappy, unpleasant attitude, these people are in a bad place. They're not here. They're not in the positive place. They're not in the happy place. They don't have positive energy. They don't even know the meanings of the word positive energy. Or words. Yeah, they don't know the meanings of those words because they grew up or they were surrounded by negative energy. This world can be overwhelming, with an overwhelming amount of negative energy. It can be. And it's very easy to become one of these people who's in the bad place, in the negative energy, always negative, always unhappy, never have anything nice to say. They're in a bad place because they were dealt a bad hand. They didn't receive enough love, care, or dignification, that I didn't even receive when I was a kid. They were overwhelmed with negative energy, and that's why they're so rude. They didn't receive enough love, and they may still not be. Yeah, I remember, I think I've told the story before, but I may not have told it enough. I'll tell it again. This was about almost 3 years ago now. I searched on Facebook for positive energy, and the first thing that popped up was positive quotes with author Holly. Now, normally, I was never a fan, a committed fan to any of these Facebook Live shows. So I just watched one of her videos, and I watched the way she talks, and she's just so, filled with so much smile, so much positive energy and joy. I thought, wow, I don't know anybody else in my life who is this happy. I don't know anybody else in my life who has this much positive energy and enthusiasm. It's overwhelmingly positive. You see, we don't meet enough people like that. When we go to the store or we're walking around out there in the world in public places and people are constantly walking past each other or they pass by each other in church, at a theme park, at a job, at a shopping mall, any kind of public place where there's a lot of people. These people don't know each other and they don't care about each other. And they don't all have a positive attitude. I mean, how many times do you see someone saying hello and being kind to everybody they see? Or when people are in their cars. Now, normally This is a person's attitude. Me first. I'm going to go first. Instead of saying, go ahead, go first. Or these pedestrians walking past my car. Go ahead, go first. We don't see enough of that going around in the world. And when we do meet people who are doing that, like I often let people pass by first, walk past my car so I can drive past, obviously, so I don't run them over. We don't see enough of that kindness happening in the world because there's a lot of unkindness happening. People who are in that bad place. Now, I really hope if there's any people watching me right now who is very unhappy with their lives, who feels like they're in a bad place, and who maybe you have depression, and maybe you're not very nice to a lot of people around you, you don't get along with too many people. If you're watching me right now, I want you to listen. Okay? You need to have some very dear friends in your life who have a positive attitude, who care about you, who love you unconditionally, whether they be a close friend or a family member. You need to hang around happy, positive people who say more nice, positive, dignifying things than unpleasant things. Okay? I remember this one time, somebody told me about this, so I heard it secondhand. Somebody said to me, hey, I was talking to this guy who I work with the other day, and I asked him, hey, so how's your day going? Oh, man, I feel like I want to jump out of my truck while it's moving and just jump out of my car. Now, I knew this person as well. I know they didn't mean that, but this person was a very, very unhappy person who used a lot of colorful words in their vocabulary. They were very vulgar. They didn't say a lot of nice things. They didn't make people laugh. They complained a lot about their lives. That's another thing I forgot to mention. Somebody who complains a lot about their life. Now, I've noticed, and here's another thing I want to touch on. When I was younger, and I was very unhappy, and I was in that bad place, I complained a lot about my life. I complained about my problems. I always talked about my problems. So, whoever it was I was around, because when I was growing up, with my family, we always talked about our problems all the time. But we didn't talk about our blessings. We didn't talk about the good things in our life as much. I was very unhappy because I was picked on a lot in school. And, we just had a lot of negative attitude towards each other. I didn't have enough good things going on in my life to be happy about. So I talked a lot about the negative things that I didn't like about my life. See, are you understanding a negative person now? Are you understanding somebody who's in the bad place? For somebody who's overwhelmed with negative energy, they'll end up complaining a lot. They won't be pleasant to be around. They'll say some really unpleasant things that might make you feel, like this, like, oh, wow. Okay, have a nice day. I don't want to talk to that person anymore. They just said some things that just made me feel really, really weird and uncomfortable, and it was too much for me. It was very, very unhappy and very, very depressing, very, very sad, and I just don't want to be around this person anymore. See, when people make you feel that way, that's the person who needs more love than you. That's the person who needs more love, listeners, attention. They need people like us. Who because they may never find out what it means to feel like this, to feel the way I feel, to be happy in your life even though you may not have everything you want, or maybe they have more bad things than good. You all have a reason to be blessed. You really do. Even if you have a lot of bad things going on in your life. Eventually, you need to move on from these things that happened. And maybe one day I'll make a video of a step-by-step process to get, well, I talked about it a little bit 2 weeks ago, but I should, really go into specific, lengthy detail. That's a great idea. For someone who's really unhappy, who holds their head down like this all the time, or who always has their head like this all the time, I don't think I've ever seen a happy person. constantly doing this or this. Usually when people do that, that means they're unhappy. Now, they're not going to get to the state of mind like my friend Holly, myself, or Mr. Rogers overnight. Maybe not even in a year. But definitely, everybody needs to have love, positive energy, praise and dignification, and some, more people in their life who care about them than ones who just don't care or just treat them as a casual acquaintance. We all need friends. We all need people who care about us. And the people who I know who are unhappy, they're in these categories that I described. They hate their job. They grew up in a really, really terrible environment. They didn't receive as much love as most people would like to receive. And they had family members who were constantly being critical of them all the time. So like I say, these things that I've mentioned, I've said it like 3 times now. We need to do the opposite of these things, and obviously, hopefully, we experience the opposite of those things. If you have children, always let them know you love them. And praise and dignify them more than criticizing them. Don't yell at them. Don't use any colorful words. That will scar them for life. It certainly will. Also, if you work with a lot of other people, show them you're a happy person. Good morning. How's your day going? How was your weekend? You got any fun plans for the weekend? It's nice to see you. You have a wonderful day. These are the things that will rub people the right way. And when they see that you're happy, you're putting out a vibe. And people will define you and have that image of you based on your smile, your attitude, the way you talk, the way you stand, the way you walk, the way you react to things. You can help people around you be positive just by being cheerful and joyful yourself. It can help. It truly can. So I hope I've helped you understand a little bit more about what it feels like and how to understand the mind of a negative person who's in a bad place. A lot of us, we don't always take the time to listen, only if it's a loved one or someone close to us. But let's say there's somebody out there you barely know, or maybe somebody who barely knows you. If you don't have a lot going on in your day, listen to what they have to say. Or even the other way around. Somebody tries to come to you with a problem and you don't have a whole lot going on that's keep making you real busy. Listen to them. Show them you care. And you will have a lot of blessings in the future, trust me. So, a positive person isn't only somebody who's happy all the time. A positive person isn't even somebody who gets whatever they want. That's not a positive person. That would probably be like a selfish person, or maybe somebody who is a tyrant. But, yeah, positive people obviously have seen the good and bad in life, the ugly part, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And to understand both, the good as well as the ugly parts of life, the unfortunate, traumatizing parts of life. I'm someone who understands both. And it's also, if you're somebody going through a really rough time in your life and you don't like talking about it with people, I totally understand. You need to understand yourself and understand the good and the bad aspects of life if you're going to be a positive thinker. So you just try to understand both aspects of life, understand yourself, and you are well on your way to being a positive, happy person. But yeah, like I say, if my broadcasts are helping you, please let me know. And if you feel there's something more that I could say or something you'd like to add to the discussion, please feel free to put your comments. I hope they're not going to be ones that will tear me apart. But I'm definitely open to hearing any helpful comments. You're welcome to make them. So, all right, guys, I have that. That's all I have as far as helping you to understand the mind of a negative person who's in a bad place. I hope you understand. Feel free to ask me questions anytime. And please show the negative people in your life that you care about them, and behave for them, in front of them, the way that you would want them to behave in front of you. It speaks very powerfully. As St. Francis of Assisi said, preach the gospel when necessary, use words. God bless.